So today I'm talking about powdering your own herbs. Now, traditionally, obviously, this would have been done with the good old pestle and mortar. And that's great if you don't have any electricity and you have got a spare 8 or 10 hours, which it will take to actually powder your herbs, especially if you're working with roots. So, yeah. Now we have things like a 4-blade blender, which is what I'm going to use today. Now, a word of warning. This destroys blenders. I've easily gone through 3 or 4 blenders in a very short space of time. When you put anything that is dry into a blender, it is going to struggle often to be able to break down and be able to move through that material, especially in harder materials, whether you're using mushrooms, whether you're using roots, that type of thing. So warning, this could destroy your blender, and I take no responsibility for if you decide to try this if it destroys your blender. But I'll give you tips on how not to do that, but I have destroyed several. Now you can use any blender that is a 4-blade blender. You will have seen on my video about making plant milks that this is what you need for emulsification. Well, it's also what you need to really be able to break down dried plant material. Here we go. So it doesn't have to be a particular sort of make. And I'm going to be putting the herb. Now I'm using chamomile. So I'm going to be putting, it's about a third full of your chamomile, dried chamomile flowers. I'm going to go in here. Oh, get one stuck. And then what I'll do is I'll blitz that. Now, blitz it for just a couple of seconds at a time, just so that you don't get it stuck. And so just do that gradually and build up until you've got a fine powder. Now, if you don't have a 4-blade blender, you can use a coffee grinder. Now, if you've got a coffee grinder that comes apart, you can wash it. Because obviously you don't want the coffee smell and taste to be in with your herb. So you can clean that out and then use it for herbs, or you can have one especially for your herbs. This is especially helpful for roots and seeds, which is a lot more difficult to do in this type of blender. You can do it, it just takes a lot longer because you have to use so much, a much smaller amount at a time, and do it very gradually. So it is possible, but it does take a long time. So this is just for making powdered herbs, and I'm going to do a different video on how you can, different ways that you can use powdered herbs. So this one I'm now going to pulse, and then I will show you the results. So I'll do here's one I made earlier. This is after some pulsing. If you can see how fine that is. I mean, it's not going to be as fine as, you know, a commercially ground herb powder that you find if you're making capsules, or if you just buy your herbs powdered, because they do use machines that can get it down to a much finer grind than that. So, but don't be too disheartened by that. I mean, I'm very pleased with that. If you can get it to this is perfectly suitable for using powdered herbs in capsules. If you want to make your own capsules, anything like that. This is fine. This is what you should aim for. This is probably the best that you will find, because actually if we look through this now, I would normally recommend that you sieve it for any really big bits that have just gotten stuck, but with chamomile it's so light, when you put it in the blender it blends really well, so that's a good one to start with. Some of the other things will be much harder, and you will find bits in it, so you might want to sieve it. But this is absolutely fine. Now, with powdered herbs, it does reduce their shelf life once you've powdered them and then you store them again. Now, the reason for this is because now we've got lots of little bits, we've got lots more surface area for mold growth. So they don't last as long. I would say 6 months. Once you've powdered your herb, it's going to be about 6 months to store it. Just store it in a cool, dry place, like in a jam jar, is fine. But really, I would blend it when you're going to use it. That would be ideal. But you can store them, as I said, for about up to 6 months. But any really longer than that, and you're going to get mold growth. So it's not something that I recommend. But yeah, and it'll smell amazing because, yeah, you've released all the essential oils that are even found within the dried plant. So yeah, this is ready to go now, and I'll be doing another video on how you can use your powdered herbs. So if you've had a go at powdering herbs yourself, do leave a comment and how you got on, and don't forget to subscribe.